Okay then, Weekend Waffle time. So what I want to get into this week is really just an open question to ask. Has there been a game genre that you've had a reluctance to get involved with? And I'll just open it up by one that's probably close to many of your hearts. If I show this. Now, this is probably going to give two reactions. One is, great, it's a sports game, I love football games. The other one is, oh no, it's another one of those football or sports games that's been in its fourth iteration. You know what I mean. So really what I just want to get into is really just a question of why would you be put off a genre of games by something that isn't directly related to the gameplay? So with sports games, and this has been covered before, that for years sports games have been produced annually, with EA, FIFA being a good example, quite a popular example. And every year a game's been put out and it's almost identical. So on the Mega Drive, all the FIFA games and hockey games were very, very similar, apart from having new teams and a few little tweaks here and there, but more or less it's the same game every year. Admittedly, when you get a new console generation coming out, like the PlayStation or even the 3DO, you get a new upgrade to the game. So you could say that's a sequel, but by and large, there are a great deal of people who don't like this practice, because they're not really sequels, they're just, you could say, cash-ins. Now, I am of that camp. I have avoided sports games. I'm not really a sports person, and when I used to see sports games on the shelves, I would just blank them out. But something occurred to me. I was looking at a list of Mega Drive games. It was a list of, I think, the top 20 or the top 50 Mega Drive games. And the first one was this, which is NHLPA Hockey, 1993. And my first reaction was, why is this game number one? Surely there are better games. And the argument given in the review was that if you play a game like Mario or Sonic, every time you play it for 20 years, it's the same game. If you play a sports game, it's different every time. And I thought, I like that. I think that's a really nice justification, but I don't really like sports games. And I sat and thought about this, and I thought, well, have I ever enjoyed sports games? And I thought, well, yes, I have. I used to enjoy, I still do, Speedball 2. It's a classic game, but it's a sports game. Admittedly, there's only been, well, really two major versions with a few follow-ups afterwards, but everyone remembers Speedball 2. PGA Golf, a game which I originally owned for the Mega Drive when I originally had one. Loved it. It was a fantastic game. I think it's a really good example of 3D done right on a 16-bit machine. And I thought about this, and I thought, well, there's Sensible Soccer as well, which is a classic game. And I thought, well, I actually enjoy these games when I've played them, but I don't really like the genre. And I sat and thought about this, and I thought, well, maybe I'm being blinded to this, so perhaps there's a chance to educate myself. And I've got these piles here. When I picked up Mega Drive bundles, I've ended up accumulating a bundle of games like FIFA 96, FIFA 97. These have just sat on the shelf. Premier Manager sat on the shelf. And I thought, well, maybe it's worth giving it a go. And this isn't meant to be showing up games. These are just ones that I'm discussing. Dino Dini Soccer. This is a game which I've recently bought, and this came after hearing Dino Dini's discussion or his talk at Replay 2012, and he was describing the kickoff games, which I had a little bit of experience with in the Amiga days, well, when the Amiga days started anyway. And he was describing the effort that had gone into the game, and I thought, well, if this wasn't a sports game, I would really be interested in it from the development side. So I thought, I'll buy this just to see what it's like, and I've actually really enjoyed it. And I think there's almost 20 years worth of being almost offended by the practice of having a sports game come out every year and certain, I suppose, qualities of that being a cash cow or whatever that have really just blind me to sports games. And I've picked up NHLPA hockey, and this was just a quiz, and I thought, well, I don't know anything about hockey, I probably won't like it. It's an American sport, Canadian sport. I know that there are teams in the UK, what should have my hometown, Sheffield, and there's a big team there. But I thought, I'm not going to like this. I thought, I'll give it a try. I'll see if I can just change myself. And I really enjoyed it. And it was a bit of an eye-opener. And I think, certainly when I hear videos of people saying they don't like a particular genre. I mean, I like adventure games and JRPGs to a degree. And I hear people saying really bad things. You know, I don't like them. They're terrible. They're cash cows. They're, you know, stretched out stories. And I'm sure that's true in a lot of cases. But I think there are particular games in the genre which that doesn't apply for. And I think to put yourself in the position of a sports fan, they must think the same thing. So I'm sure I've said I don't like sports games and just dismiss the whole genre. And I think maybe that's a mistake there. So I think really the point of this video is perhaps there's a lesson to be learned that there are genres which you perhaps take a dislike to, not for any reasons in the gameplay, but perhaps just the way that the industry is progressing with, you know, their release strategies or various different reasons, and perhaps there's a benefit to just trying out a genre of games which you previously didn't enjoy or have had very little experience with, and perhaps there's something there to be enjoyed. Perhaps not every game. Maybe, you know, if you're not a sports person, you don't like football or hockey games, and you try them and you genuinely don't like them, but you like the golf games. So I think there's something to be learned there. Not just on my own part, but I think perhaps if everyone gave it a try, you know, take a genre that you don't like, try a few games and see if you can find one that you like. So really the open question is there a genre of games which you've previously taken a dislike to based on a property or a quality that isn't directly related to the gameplay? So I think I'll leave it there. It's been a while since I've done a weekend waffle, if you don't count the Halloween special, so hopefully there's enough here to foster a few questions and some good discussion. So thank you for watching.